Hi, I'm Steve with Dahlia Health, and I have with me today Dr. Corey. Dr. Corey is a big supporter of Dahlia. We really appreciate that. And he also owns and operates one of the largest weight loss centers in the Midwest. But in addition, my understanding is you have run a large number of fitness centers helping people get that weight off and stay fit.
Right, yeah, definitely. I've been, spent a lot of years in this whole fat loss industry, and I've learned a lot. And I'm grateful to be here. You guys have developed an amazing product, and I'm excited to be able to use that in our clinic and help deliver results for patients. So,
well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now, we brought Dr. Corey in to answer some of the clinical questions that we get from time to time, and we thought of no one who could do it better than you. So I'd like to ask you a few questions, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
One of the questions we get a lot is, how does this work? What's the magic behind light?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I get that question a lot. How does it work, Dr. Corey? And the answer is, the good news is it's clinically proven. So I love that. I mean, it's backed by science upon science. So it works 100% of the time. And I always use an analogy of clusters of grapes. Okay, that's the best way to kind of get a visual for people to understand, like, what does the fat cell look like? And unfortunately, it looks like clusters of grapes, right? And due to hormones in the body, your body usually is storing, so it keeps growing those clusters, and that's what creates frustration. So what the lights do is they're going to come in with certain wavelengths, right? So certain scientifically proven wavelengths to come in here and poke holes in the outside of that grape. It also brings energy with it, okay? So as it brings that energy, it's going to break down this gel type of grape into basically three things: glycerol, fatty acids, and water. So as that happens, it now is liquefied. So you have this liquid that seeps out of that fat cell, and you're just left with that outside of the grape. So just the skin of the grape is left. And that's what then you see the contouring happen. That's what makes everybody happy, right? So then where does it go? The lymphatic system takes it and is going to shuttle it to the liver. Liver's job of many things in the body, one of them is fatty metabolism. We want to make sure that liver is going to package it up for us and put it in the toilet. So it's going to go from fat cell to water soluble, and your body excretes it. And that's really sums up, how does it work?
Another question that we get in a lot is, how long does this last? Is it temporary? Is it permanent? How long does it last?
Yeah, and the answer, and I don't like using this answer, but it depends, right? And why do I say that? Because everybody's different. Your body's different than my body. And how it works is when we've collapsed that shell, so you're left with just the skin, your body's gonna have a tendency to fill it up, okay? So some people say, well, Dr. Corey, I look at food and I get fat, right? Well, they're gonna fill it up much quicker than somebody that is only maybe dealing with one of the hormonal changes. So that's how it could differ. But now there's a time component to this, okay? And this is where the magic really happens to help keep it there longer. So what is the time component? If I can keep, or you can keep, that cell collapsed for, every couple of days, so 2 to 3 times a week, keep it collapsed. Over 6 to 8 weeks, you've now hardened that shell to a raisin. So once you get that raisin, it's really hard to go back to a grape. Could you? You probably could. It would take a lot of effort, right? Yeah. So, but that's when those long-lasting results start, is time. Staying consistent with use and being patient with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And of course, the question everyone asks is, does this hurt?
It's a good question. It's painless. In a lot of our patients, they will take a nap, which is, the irony of that is, they just burn 500 calories, but yet napping, right?
I have.
I know. So that's what's fun about it is, it's not going to be invasive like, your lipo or, any of those, the cryo where you're actually going to try to kill a fat cell. It's very relaxing. I mean, we even use it for pain relief in the clinic, so that kind of answers your questions. But, that's the nice thing when you do it the right way, when you do it the natural way. There's no pain to it. Sometimes it can get warm depending on skin tone. Okay, so if we have the darker skin tone, it may warm a little bit. So if that warmth gets a little uncomfortable, we'll just go ahead and turn it down, depending on skin tone. But for the majority of people, not a problem at all.
Now, I think one of the questions we see a lot is, how do I maximize my results?
Yeah, so results do differ, depending on the individual. Kind of like I talked about, as we go through, the cell, the good news is the devices will always do their job. So you can always kind of check that box off. Is, the device is going to go in there, poke holes in the fat cell, drain it, and leave you there with the shell. So where it can differ is how quickly can that individual's body get it through the lymph to the liver to the out, right? So let's talk through that. So number one, there's about 5 things you can do. Here's the first. Win a gold medal in drinking water. Okay? The solution to pollution is dilution. So when you have that stuff that's floating in the interstitial, move it. Help, get that liquid moving through the body to get it out. So 1, drink water. Number 2 is movement. Movement moves lymph. So like in the clinic, we'll put them on a vibe plate, okay, vibration platform that'll help move lymph. Or I'll say, just get out and walk. If you can get walking, that stuff's gonna be leaving that cell for the next 20 hours. So get walking, get moving, okay? Third one is limit your food intake an hour before or after doing the device, okay? Why? Because I want the liver to only have to deal with the contents that's leaving the cell, okay? That way we can get it out. Fourth would be no lotions. So obviously you guys have calibrated those things scientifically to allow certain wavelengths to go in certain depths, okay? Well, we don't want to have a lotion, messing with any of that. So I say, I always say come raw, right? So come just with whatever you want contoured with nothing on it, no lotions. And then the fifth one would be, if you're wanting to really speed things up, support the liver, right? So come in, bring, we offer a couple of good liver supports we can do, or just even through nutrition and making sure that liver is happy. And then one more, kind of a bonus tip, would be food choices, right? Like try to limit your sugar intake when you're doing the pad. Sugar will close that grape or that fat cell so fast. So try to avoid that. Try to avoid alcohol, nicotine, things like that the liver is going to have to deal with. So if you can really work on those 5 plus the bonus, those 6 things, that's really going to help you maximize your results. Because just remember, the pad shows up for work every single day and will do its job.
Yes, it does. So a lot of people struggle with weight loss. And it's become very frustrating. Can you talk us through why that might be happening and how this might help?
Yeah, I think where a lot of the frustration comes from is like they don't even know what they're fighting. Like if you don't know what you're fighting, it's really hard to win a war, right? So I think that's where it starts. And kind of in my background, when we owned all the boot camps throughout the U.S. is we watch these people show up at these boot camps 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 6 days a week. But yet still had this, that love handle, or still had an area that was just so stubborn. And they'd either work themselves, hurt, or they'd burn out. And then you'd see them in public and they had ballooned, right? So it didn't make sense to me. And I have a couple degrees, and one of them is in biochemistry, and I wanted to really understand this fat loss journey for people because I knew it would help a lot of people. So as we dove into the science, we really figured out that all of fat loss is due to hormones. And once we understand that, the light bulb goes off, right? And that's why, the bars and shakes, the pills and lotions, all of those things that people spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on, the personal trainers, you name it, it's spent. They lose 10 pounds, they always put it back on, right? Because it doesn't fix the cause of hormones. So what we've done is, obviously we've put together a system that addresses that to really give guaranteed results. So as we talk through that, we've called it the core 4. 4 things, 4 pillars that when you put them together, they work 100% of the time, okay? So what are they? Number 1 is mind. There's a lot of people that have limiting beliefs or just different behaviors on how they viewed food in the past. And that's what creates yo-yos. That's what creates, I lost 20 and I put it all back on. We want to really make sure that this is the last thing that they'll ever have to do, the last program that they need, okay? Second thing, I call it my magic weapon. All right, thanks to you, is the sculpting pads, the Dahlia sculpting pads. They're going to show up for work and they're going to do their job. They're going to, just what I explained earlier is, take a fat cell, drain it, leave it with a shell, and help sculpt the body. So it allows me to really focus on the stubborn areas, to get those going, boost metabolism, help with wrinkles. And then even pain relief. There's so many benefits there. That's why I call it my magic weapon. And then the third one, whole food nutrition. If you want to really change hormones in your body and get your body back to a burning state versus storing, the only thing that will do that is through whole foods. So when we coach whole foods, we basically tell the person what to eat, when to eat, and how much to the ounce. And we really take control of all that to get the body back to a burning state where you can have, a chip and, bread every once in a while, but you burn through it versus sticking to you. And then the last one is accountability. That's a huge one. You've got to show up to use the pads. The pads can't sit on your shelf and expect results, right? You got to put them on. And the same thing, when we talk about the core 4 is, people are logging food. People are engaging with their coaches. People are really focused on their journey in order to really maximize results. And when we put all those 4 things together, we can guarantee what the results that we get.
So we advertise, we have the Dahlia Difference, right? And so can you tell us how you found the differences in our pad from other pads helpful in your practice?
Yeah, in the one word I use and my staff uses is the word confidence. When you get results, that equals confidence, and you got to have confidence if you want to succeed in this industry. You got to be able to provide results. So there's little things, and I've owned about every device out there. Before I learned about Dahlia, I had owned them all. Okay, and it was little things such as the cords. I had one device I had literally had 18 cords going to the patient. And at the end of the day, my staff would be so frustrated because it'd be this cobweb, spiderweb mess of cords that just you have to unravel. So I loved when you guys came out with fewer cords. That's a huge win. The other thing is I liked when you guys brought them out of the box, out of the power box, a huge power box, which I love. Power, right? But when you brought those cords out of the box, it was much better. Because one device I had owned in the past, it came right out of the controller. And it was still cumbersome trying to get those over onto the patient. Another big difference, was when you guys came out with the face pads. Huge win for us. When having the different wavelengths in the face pad made so much sense to me, and I was just rooting and waiting for someone to come out with that. So in the past, it was always a one-size-fits-all, meaning like it was the same pad, as far as frequencies and mix. They would go over the face as the midsection. And it didn't make sense to me because my patients weren't really coming in besides here that wanting contour. They weren't coming in and be like, make all this skinny. They were saying, help me with my wrinkles and help me with my blemishes, right? Mm-hmm. So it makes sense that it should be different. That is a huge differentiator for you guys. Because now I have patients that are leaving extremely happy, that are getting better results on the anti-aging side, decreasing blemishes, decreasing wrinkles, and trimming up the neck as well. And like I said, out there, their friends are saying, you look great. When a patient hears that from a friend, it just solidifies everything that we're doing. So that was a big win. Another one that a lot of people might not even notice, but I do, is when you guys came out with the telescoping pads. That was a big victory, okay? Why? Because one of the pads I had, they put silver on it. They're like, okay, that's gonna help with, coverage. But when you would put it on the person, the closer you got to the skin, it would go from a big broad coverage to then just a little dot, right? Mm-hmm. So in my head, I'm like, well, that's not equal big coverage. And when I first put the Dahlia pad on my patients, and I'm like, got close to the skin, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is still glowing. Like this is still even, disbursement. And I was trying to figure out how they do that. When I looked at it, the telescoping light, so that really helped. And that was a huge, way more inches reduction, better results, more even. So that was a great win. Technology side, huge plus for you guys. You guys are innovators. When you look at that, like the device, how it looks, and then the functionality of it, I'm excited for that. And I'm excited for what you guys are gonna bring in the future for something like that. And then one of the last ones, comfort. Okay, these other devices, they literally had paddles that you have to put on and you'd Velcro it all on the person. And then people would be like, why is there a gap here? And you're like, well, I don't know, right? But that's all you had to deliver. With yours, that foam you guys brought out, that high grade foam, it's so comfortable. And it really, it wraps around arms nice, it wraps around legs. So you guys have really done a good job with that. You call it the Dahlia Difference, but it's those little things that you guys have thought through that make a huge difference. And I'm extremely proud of it and happy with where we're at. And more importantly, I'm getting results from my patients. And like I said, that's the most important thing. So,
have you found that the home pad was helpful to your practice?
Home run on the home pad.
Okay.
Thank you on the home pad. Okay. Since you brought that home pad out during COVID, we were able to survive and thrive through COVID. I am mailing pads out to people throughout the United States. I am now coaching people throughout the United States. We have, started anew and doubled that, as far as weight management on the virtual side because of that. And not only that, but I'm sending it home with diabetic patients to help with neuropathy. You guys, talk about innovation and like game changers. You guys have changed the game when it comes to bringing a device like that to the home user.
So you mentioned the face pad, obviously one of our newer products. How has that changed your practice, and how what kind of results are you seeing with that?
So number one, amazing results. I'm getting more and more patients coming in that are wanting to not only just use the pad for anti-aging, but like re-up, right? That's another important thing, like keep using that pad consistently for maintenance, because they've had friends tell them, wow, you look so much younger. And they're noticing blemishes, the sunspots, they're noticing wrinkles decreasing, they're getting that light back. No pun intended, right? But they're getting that glow back, right. That natural, healthy glow back, and really getting good results. And like I said, it goes back to understanding that the face needs different attention than the midsection. And it seems so small, but yet massive game changer. Right. So yeah, I know we're getting great results. Obviously we coach through people, to maximize that, right? So, making sure we're using natural skin-based products, working on nutrition to make sure we're bringing those building blocks in, collagen, things along those lines. We've worked with some other companies with some very natural support to make sure that we maximize skin tonicity. So it's been kind of a win-win for us.
I also heard you mention some pain reduction. So how are you using the pads in that area? Well,
let's just put it this way. I was treating patients this past week and had about 3 or 4 diabetic neuropathy patients. Before, I could treat them in-house, right? But they need consistent care. And now with the at-home pad, I now have a way to be able to get them care at home that they can purchase and utilize right at home. So that's been a good one. But we have a whole pain aspect of our clinic, natural, that's going to focus on. We help people with low back pain. We help people with neck pain. We help people with headaches, migraines, neuropathy, like you'd mentioned, Raynaud's, which is like decreased blood flow. We've done a really good job being able to help people get out of pain. And the reason for it is the science is there. We know now through research that decreases inflammation in the body. Mm-hmm. So knowing that, who could not benefit from decrease of inflammation, right? So yeah, pain reduction has been a really big addition to us, and I'm excited for it.
One of the other questions we get from time to time, obviously in a clinic setting, you have the equipment to do more precise measurement. And obviously someone at home can't do that. What would you suggest to someone who really wants to track their progress? Because I did hear you talk about that earlier, accountability and measuring and tracking progress. How would you recommend someone do that at home?
Yeah, so measuring is important, right? That's why we invested in a $10,000 scale to measure the minute, everybody's body to make sure we're delivering the results that we want to deliver, right? And we know that the pad's gonna do its job. And I've said that multiple times. The pad's gonna show up, it's gonna emulsify a fat cell, it's gonna drain it, and you're gonna be left with the shell. And measuring allows the person to understand how well is their body moving that contents out. Because if it's not, if they're not getting the 1 to 2 inch reduction and they're wanting wanting to maximize it, then there's little things that we can do in order to make sure that happens. So when it goes to measuring, that's the best way to get that objective finding. Now, with that being said, we want to do multiple area, right? So like when we do midsection, we do 3 area. When we do arm 3 area, we do different things so we understand what's happening in that area and where is it going. But objective findings is a win. And let's say, the other thing I would tell people is, depending on their body, patience, right? Just be patient, enjoy the journey, trust in the process, do those little things to maximize results, continue to use, continue to measure, and you will see results.
Would you be willing to show us how to measure for anyone at home?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be important.
Okay, great.
All right, we're gonna go through some measurements for you at home so you can kind of get an understanding of like how to do it, why to do it, and some of those things. Now, after you do the device, some people can measure right away and they'll see 1 to 2 inch reduction accumulatively through the measurements. If you for some reason have an increase, don't panic. What it is basically, we talked about kind of the fat cell breaking up the contents, turning it to liquid, but you're also driving a lot of blood to the area through the warmth, okay? So that can cause sometimes a short-term increase. So once the tissue cools down, you get that movement and that lymphatic drainage, things will kind of shape up to really, be sculpted like they should, okay? So we're gonna go through with Jill, we're gonna start with the arm, work our way down. So with the arm, go ahead or take your right arm. We're gonna do 3 measurements with Jill. So we're gonna go here, we're gonna go kind of in that bicep or the largest diameter area, and then about a third of the way down. So one little tip on the arms is always do a flexed arm, okay? What it does is it helps me get just more of a consistent measurement with the flexion, okay? So go ahead and flex it. And then with this, we're gonna come around, and then it's all about pressure, okay? Because we don't wanna collapse the skin. So if we wanna do some skin tightening, we wanna just make sure we monitor that. And then with her, so you're right at that 11, and then we would do the other measurements, okay? And then obviously you would just do it after with all those, and then do the math, all right? Midsection, we're gonna do 3 areas in the midsection. So we always start with belly button. So we'll start with belly button, and then we'll go 2 inches above, and then 2 inches below. One little tip, okay, is if you have like a washable marker at home, you can make little marks like where you measured. That way you have the most accurate measurements, okay? And then also I'd mention pressure, but pressure is key. Like just work on keeping that same tensity. We just want to get this tape all around the skin, touching the dermis throughout, and then just get an understanding where that measurement's at, okay? With the hips, so when we do the hips, we're gonna just measure the widest area, okay? So it's gonna be kind of right around the hips. And then for the legs, go ahead and pull that up for me, Jill. We're gonna start with that widest area up top, all right? And then we're gonna get 3 measurements on the leg. We're gonna go mid and then low. So it's gonna look like this with Jill, and then go ahead and just weight bear for me. Excellent. And we're gonna come across, and then she's right there, that 24.5, okay? So perfect. And then like I said, we're gonna go here and then about a third of the way. Do the math, and then celebrate. If for some reason, you say, you know what, I haven't seen a change, always go back to those 5 things to maximize that we talked about, right? Making sure, number 1, like give it time to cool down, move the lymph, drink the water, let that body move it so that you can then really get an understanding of that collapse. So, very good. Oh, one more thing, sorry. Before and after pictures. That's an important thing too. So measurements are great, but I'd always recommend a before and after picture, because when you are in your body every single day, sometimes you don't see these, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch changes until your clothes start fitting better. So that's where those before and afters are really powerful. When you see yourself here and you see yourselves in 30 days, and then you get to really celebrate. Yes, especially when you do wrinkles and things like that. So before and afters would be a huge win.
Well, Corey, thank you very much for coming by and answering all those questions. Obviously, if you still have questions at home, do not hesitate to reach out to us. Results@dahliahealth.com.